in that the Newtown Creek Coalition is not a part of the borough, so to speak.
Right.
It's a standalone organization, as I understand it. I believe you're asking us to authorize an expenditure somewhere in the area of $15,000 to $20,000 in our 2012 budget at the moment, because you don't know what in-kind applications we may be able to apply against this.
At this
Correct.
point, no, I do not know.
Will you know that during our budget process, which is starting this evening and running through mid-October, because that'll be an important element to whether or not we can go ahead with this.
This
Number
evening,
one.
no,
Number two.
but by mid-October, yes.
Yeah, number two, the Newtown Creek Coalition is a standalone enterprise, yet you're going to be going on the private property and looking for some liability protection. And I guess I have a question for our solicitor in terms of whether or not we can be a party to this as the borough with activities associated on private property. My concern is
Public
that
property.
that
It's
someone.
It's public property. It's borough property.
But didn't you,
It's borough
didn't you
property.
indicate there was some private property where we had to get permission to access?
No, no, we need permission to act, we just
Borough
need
property? Okay.
the borough who owns that property, which I still would believe would be called public property if the borough owns
But
it.
isn't some of that along the Stockburger line and?
No, I think the confusion comes with the one piece of paper which requires the owner's authorization, and the owner is the borough in this case. Yeah, I
But
can see.
but any liability that would be associated with it would be ours, or would it be the Newtown Creek Coalition?
Well, it's not a matter of liability, it's public property that's being improved with public funds, period. The grant comes through the state to improve municipal property, period.
And the other question is, what participation is the township having in this grant, if any? And I know they were a
I
party
think
to the last
I
grant.
think, I was speaking with Jerry Schenkman, who is in China, but I guess emailing with him to find out if the township is going after this Growing Greener Grant Plus. And he believes they are. There are a number of projects in Carlcedia Park that were identified in the Newtown Creek Comprehensive Watershed Plan. And he thinks they are going after them with a separate grant proposal.
But
And
isn't the
he
Creek
hasn't been-
Coalition associated with the borough as well as the township, and why wouldn't we?
We are a completely independent 501c corporation
Right.
that is just folks that are interested in the Newtown Creek watershed and preserving and protecting
I
the creek,
understand that, but
so that there is no affiliation with the township, the borough, or Wrightstown, or Middletown, or any of those.
I think
But
the
on the last grant, we signed up for our portion, and the township signed up for a portion, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's more of the Newtown Creek in the township than there is in the borough, so why wouldn't we be joining with the township at this juncture?
That's a good
The same way we
question.
did it last time.
Yeah, and I think the difference last time, or it's actually still this time, with that grant that's being moved forward, it's a planning grant. So it literally covers both sides of the creek, township and borough, so that's why the township is on the application paperwork for that. The difference this time around is we're moving beyond the mere plan, not mere, but we're moving beyond the joint planning grant that we're currently involved with. Now we're talking about infrastructure, which is solely located in the borough. Am I correct, Jane?
Yes, in this case, we identified two sites that were in the borough.
Okay.
The borough stands to benefit from this, get stormwater management credits and things like that. But part of the reason we did that is we just realized that these were two public accessible sites that were in an area that are more heavily trafficked and would be, I think, very successful pilot projects.
But to your question, Bob, this is an infrastructure grant, and everything's located solely in the borough. That's why we're not talking about the township being involved in this one. To give an example where they could be, and we should be together on it, we talked about a pedestrian walkway across that particular portion of the creek. That would involve both sides of the creek, both municipalities, and certainly that would be appropriate for a grant that would have township or borough on it. But because the two locations we're talking about here are strictly within the borough would be the applicant.
My major concern is whether or not we're going to have the ability to commit $15,000 or $20,000 next
Understood.
year. I just,
Understood.
I don't want to be the naysayer. I just don't know that we can afford that type of additional expense on top of the expense that we have to put in for the road signs. Between those two projects, we'd be looking at additional $100,000. So I think as much as I'd like to see something done, I think we've got a fiduciary responsibility to make sure we're not trying to overspend in 2012.
Yeah.
I mean, the other
If I may, what we're doing tonight is talking about authorizing the application because literally it's due before we meet next. And that's it. If it turns out that the concerns you're expressing, or others we're not talking about tonight, make it not feasible for us to go forward this time around, then we don't go forward. Exactly.
Okay.
But this is somewhat of a unique opportunity and frankly, a bit of a surprise because if we had to identify one objective from the borough standpoint in terms of the creek we'd like to do something about in the short term, it's Green Street at the Commons area. Because when that concrete was dumped at the end of Green Street a long time ago, it not only was unsightly, but it created, a problem for stormwater permanently into the future. So just by virtue of fortuitous timing, we have an opportunity here. Now, whether or not it works out, we'll see, but we have an opportunity. And it may not be something we see it again for quite some time, if ever. So if it's the old story, act now, and we may actually be able to take advantage of this where we might not otherwise.
Can't spend what you don't have.
Mark Twain.
If you don't apply, you don't get, right? Okay. Any other questions for Jane?
So I guess just to clarify, which was my original question, was if we decide to go forward with approving the application, we find that the 15% is a larger number that we can't financially absorb, we can pull out of the grant?
We can pull out of it, or the other thing I can ask is, can we reduce our scope? Can we say, okay, well, we don't want to, if, God forbid, they approve a huge award for us, and we say we can't afford it, we'd like to do one site, or we'd like to just go through the design phase and permitting phase, and then apply for money later, or hope we all get rich and can pay for it later. I mean, I think I will ask that question as well, whether we can say, thank you very much, can we take a little less? I mean, essentially that's what you would, I would think, want to do, to still be able to hold on to some of that award money, because it's a very nice way to leverage 15% of your money in a public improvement project.
Thank you.
So if there are no
Thank
further
you.
questions, could I have a motion to authorize, to authorize me to sign the appropriate paperwork associated with this application for the Growing Greener grant?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks,
And
Jane.
there's a meeting on Friday, right?
We'll be meeting at my house. We'll be heading right down to the Green Street site and then over to the Center Street site. So see us walking around.